Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to another amazing episode of the Black Girl Encourage Her. I am your host, Sheniqua Inspires, and listen. You already know. You already know what I'm getting ready to say. You know I'm bringing another fire starter to the stage. I not only want you to meet her, but I want you to celebrate her. I am going to bring my sister friend to the stage, Miss Emmy Award Winner, Asha McKenzie.
Sheniqua, you are the sweetest. Thank you.
And the confetti and all of that. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hello. Hey, girl. I love that intro. Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. My name is Asha McKenzie. I'm Emmy Award winner. First time this past October. I feel ultimately blessed. And I'm a news anchor reporter in New York City and a teacher. I mean, I could go on. I'm a daughter, an auntie. I'm all that. All the important titles in my life.
Yes, we love each and every aspect of it. So now, those of you who are watching who are in the New York City area, you may be familiar with Aisha's face. She is on the news on News 12 in Bronx and Brooklyn. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
So I'm familiar with her. I know my mom is watching like, she looks familiar. Yes, Mom, that's her.
That's sweet. Hey, Mom.
Yes. So I am excited. So before we get into what we're going to talk about, the encouragement and all of that good stuff, come on, share the goods. What is it like to win an Emmy? Tell us. Let us live vicariously through you.
You know, we all have our own passions, right? And when you are putting in work in almost everything that you do, you're not doing it thinking you're going to win an award. You submit and you're hopeful because you're super proud of it. But I'll just say when they called our team's name for that Emmy, we all looked at each other and were just in disbelief because we're like, us? We did it, our small crew. And even to this day, when the Emmys came in the mail, we got them this week, we were just overjoyed and just proud because for many of us, this was our first Emmy. And some of us have been in the business for a long time. Like this year marks 10 years for me in the TV news industry. And this is my first Emmy. So it's like, it's been hustling and working hard and doing this work for years, and to be recognized by your peers in that way is just really overwhelming, and so blessed about it.
Oh man, that is amazing. Now that's going to actually spear us right into our topic for today. 10 years.
10 years.
You've been in the game 10 years. You've been grinding. You've been doing this. Did you ever feel like, you know what? This is not worth it. I don't want to do this anymore. I quit. I'm done with this.
Oh yeah. I mean, give me like 1 hour of a bad day. I'm like, what am I doing? I mean, I think all of us can say there's a time we sat at work. It was just like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And I think at every single time I think about that, I'm like, okay, Asha, if you're questioning, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Ask yourself, what else would you want to do? And if I can't figure out that answer in the sense of like, if that would bring me any joy and excitement, then this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm just having a bad day.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's not necessarily, and this is not in my experience at the moment, but there were times in other spaces where sometimes it's the place and not necessarily what you're doing. And I always tell my friends who are going through tough times in their career that I know they're passionate about, I'm like, don't let them steal that love for what you do from you, because that can happen. And then you leave too soon. And some people do end up finding a second passion, but then some people feel stuck and lost because they allowed someone to take that from them. So I always have to remind myself, you are walking in what God wants you to do. You just got to keep going on. You have more good days than bad. And you really do love what you are doing.
I love that, because there is a big difference. There's a big difference between being called, loving what it is that you're doing, and having a bad day. And I think sometimes we blur the lines. We blur the lines, and it's like, no, this is not a bad career move. This is not the end of the world. This is just you having a bad day. And especially, I think all of us, not even especially women, but all of us, we have hormonal things that go on. Maybe there's some personal things that's going on that's making the situation seem different than it was. So we do need to be mindful of that. So that is a great reminder. Now, 10 years is a really long time to be in the grind, in the trenches, doing the work, and not having received an award. Now, of course, you don't do it for the award,
Right.
but 10 years in, a lot of people think that when you wake up, you've got this grand idea, God has given it to you, you heard it from heaven, the moon and the stars start shifting in alignment. They think that immediately, as soon as they put their foot to the pavement, that it's going to pay off, it's going to be profitable, it's going to be successful. What words of encouragement would you give to someone who's like, okay, Asha, we got this idea, I'm running with it, this is it? What would you say to them?
I think we all have had that level of delusion at least like once in our lives.
Every day.
Yeah, this is going to transition. So when I actually, a professor mentor of mine asked me for my college TV demo reel. So basically, when you work in television news and you want to apply for a job on air, you have to send a reel, which is a montage of all of your work, so they can see your performance on camera. So he asked me to send my college demo reel. I haven't been in college I graduated in 2012. So, and this is a reel that's a little bit older than that. So we're talking 12 years and change. And I was like, all right. And I looked at it and I said, there's no way. I said, that's not me.
Wow.
That's not me.
Wow.
And I'm like, I don't have the register of voice I have now or the knowledge I have now as, a woman. I was a woman then, but you know what I mean? Like a 21-year-old woman and who I am now is very different. So,
Definitely.
at that time I was just like, I'm going to be Oprah. Like I'm going to be as good as her right out the door. And it just does not work that way. It's impossible. Even if you're a savant or even like a prodigy, like you still have to build up to excellence. And sometimes what you touch in the beginning could be great, but it's always a chance to be greater. And I think we are so critical of a lot of things that we create, and we have to allow it time to grow like we did. And I think we get frustrated because, and I can say I get frustrated because I'm like, man, like I needed this to be nice from the rip. But what we see on social media, what we see on TV, what we see on podcasts, these are people's fruits. This is not always the seed that's put in first, because people aren't always sitting and watching the seed. You're going to sit down and watch the full hour of somebody's fruits. So you want to go back to their video 6 years ago on their YouTube page. You know what I mean? Like not the one you're watching today, and see the evolution of whatever somebody has created. So I think we just got to take time with ourselves, and have some grace. As I tell all my mentees, have some grace with yourself,
Listen, you are spitting some fire right now. This is fire because you're 100% right. We're not watching people's seeds. We're not looking at where they're started. We're looking at the finished product. I can even remember when I started this podcast about a year ago. I remember I used to have the StreamYard logo up at the top, and it wasn't as cut and polished, and everything was almost disjointed because I'm learning the flow of things. And then now you look at the season, we're into season 4. It's like, whoa, wait a second.
Exactly.
So I can only imagine what it can grow to be if I stay the course.
And think about having 5 years from now, you're in your own studio doing this podcast.
Yes,
you just never know where it's going to go. I speak life on that.
Come on now. Come on, somebody. And I believe that. But I think we do need to give ourselves grace because, it doesn't take away from our greatness. Right. It doesn't mean we don't have a great idea. It doesn't mean we didn't hear divinely. But what it says is that it does take time for those seeds to start bearing fruit. Right. And fruit really that somebody's actually going to want. So
because I look at my plants, I'm watering. I'm like, what are you doing? Grow something. And then one day I'm like, oh, it has a little sprout.
grow, 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 grow.
You know
It's
what
like
my
it doesn't
mother
work
does,
like
which I
that.
think is beautiful. My mom always talks to her plants, and she made
Mhm,
a joke. My mom was just on vacation, and she reminded my sister, who lives close by, to water her plants. And she said, "Hey,
mhm.
also, I'm just letting you know I talk to them. So if you want to say a little something to them for them to grow, do what you do." Sounds weird to other people, but think about it if you're the plant.
Yeah,
Like, speak life into yourself.
yeah.
So,
I love it. I love it. And why not? And then we have to be watchful what we say. We got to be
yes.
watchful what we say. So take us into your room, right? In the morning, when you get up and you look into the mirror, what kind of words are you speaking to yourself?
Sure. I think I always joke that I feel like I'm like an old school Jamaican woman. I wake up, I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus. Like every time I race out of the bed, something cracks. So that's like my first step, getting out of the bed.
Give them
um,
praise.
it's like, thank you, Father God. And then
Yeah.
but I wake up and I just assess, like, I remind myself who I am, especially if the day
Mhm.
before was just trash. Uh
Yeah.
and trash because of me, not because of any outside forces, because I wasn't
Mhm.
happy with an XYZ performance, or I messed up here or there, which to somebody that little mess up is nothing. To me, I'm like, come on, you're no Ricky, what's going on?" But I'm going to be honest, like, I'm not a perfectionist, but I also hold myself to a certain standard.
I love
And
it.
so I speak that life, and I have, I am a very spiritual person. I'm religious, and I have these prayer cards next to my bed too, and I have my devotion app on my phone too, the Bible app, to whatever I'm feeling. If I'm feeling sad or anxious or whatever, I read a devotion that pertains to that, to speak life into me, because sometimes we fail to have the words. But
Yeah.
I do believe in intercessory prayer too, like whether it's a friend or whether it's just like a simple word that you read of encouragement. And even if
Yeah.
somebody's not religious or spiritual, there's encouragement you can find somewhere, anywhere. My
Mhm.
vision board is up on there for me to look at too, where I remind myself why I'm waking up at 2:50 a.m. every single morning. Um, yeah, that's my schedule. That's the wake up call I get. So I think I just have to
Wow.
remind myself of who I am, not in a cocky sense, not being a narcissist. I have to remember what I've done and who Asha McKenzie is. And
Yeah.
that gets me started. Not every morning's like that. I'm gonna be honest. Some days I'm like, let's just get this going. But I'm not. Coffee might have fell. I don't know. Something's happening. But
Yeah.
if I'm being a realist about that, but some mornings I do have to remind myself, because no one's really gonna encourage me like me.
That's right. I
Yeah.
love it. You know, a couple of things were kind of just spinning around in my head while you were talking. One of those things is that we do have to be our own best friend. We got to be able to hype our bestie up. We got to make certain that we are able to do that for ourselves. I mean, it's nice to have somebody else to do it, but we have to be able to be that starting point. Just in case bestie can't make it, you can't speak to your boo real quick. Like you have that capability to do that, and I love it. And you literally have been doing the work, right? So people might see the things that you have, the things that you do, and they say, "Oh, that's what I want." Right? Maybe there's somebody that's holding you as their standard. Like we would say Oprah, and I heard you say Ricky. Like we have people that we put as our standard, but somebody is holding you as their standard.
Mhm.
But guess what? You've been putting in the work. She just told us she
Yeah.
up 2 in the. Oh my goodness! Let my alarm clock go off at 2 in the morning. Are you kidding
You
me?
gotta
Are you
wake
kidding
up. You
me?
gotta get to work.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So take us into the day in the life of Miss News Lady, teacher lady. Like, come on, tell us this timeline because I want
Sure.
people to see that you are putting in these hours and you're doing the things that most people aren't willing to do.
That's true. This shift is not for the weak. So,
Come on.
if you do watch The Bronx in Brooklyn, or if you're not familiar at all, it's okay. So, I am the morning anchor. So, morning news starts early. It starts
Yeah.
as you're just waking up or whatever, but the people involved, shout out to everybody behind the scenes at my job too. We're in early. Our earliest shift in the morning is 1 a.m. Not mine. One of my producers. So my wake up call is 2:50 in the morning.
Mhm.
Sometimes the snooze button gets hit, but
Ooh.
I'm the one that pays for that. So
Yeah.
2:50 a.m., I get it going. I leave the house. I get to work. I have to be at work by 4 o'clock.
Ugh,
And by 4 a.m., I go in, I do my own hair and makeup. So if it look crazy one day, just be nice, y'all, because
wow.
I'm doing it myself. um,
Okay.
so hair and makeup, and then I have to read through scripts. And copy edit, look through them, see what's happening for the day, scroll through my emails. There's also the Teams chat that's going off, to
Mm,
see like where our reporters are, what stories we're going to have throughout the day, what's happening later in the day. I'm live at 5 a.m. So
mm.
I'm live for both. We do the Bronx and Brooklyn shows separately. So the top of the hour is always Bronx. Every half hour at the 30 mark is Brooklyn. So we're live from 5 to 5:30 for Bronx, and then 5:30 to 6 o'clock for Brooklyn, and we switch back and forth until about 8:45 a.m.
Wow.
So I'm live from 5 a.m. to 8:45 a.m. We have a 9 a.m. morning meeting. And then by 10 o'clock a.m., I'm out the door to do reporting in the field. Yeah.
Mm.
And then hopefully I'm out by 1 o'clock. And
Okay.
that's a big hopefully. And then there's my own personal life, the gym, dinner, doing all those things for myself to, do it again. And then Thursday nights I teach.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And what time are you going to bed? I mean, because 2:50, honey. I can
Lordy.
sleep
Okay.
by 6 p.m.
So what I always joke around, I tell people what time should I be in bed or what time am I in bed are two separate questions, right? So I should be in bed by 7 o'clock.
Wow.
But I'm one of those people who are like, my job is not going to steal my time all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm up. I try my best to have my eyes shut by 9 p.m. So getting roughly like 6 hours of sleep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I thank you for sharing that. I
Yeah.
really do thank you for sharing that because, like I said, people they
Mm-hmm.
see the visual image
Yeah.
and they desire and they want, but not everybody's willing to do that.
You have to put in the work with anything, not
Yeah.
just this career in any job.
Yeah. I love that. Oh man. I don't know about you all, but I'm not going to say that I won't. I won't say that I won't.
Right.
But when you were saying it, my spine was tingling. I was feeling the feels. I was feeling for you.
It's rough. And I've been doing this shit for a long time. And
Yeah.
even some days I'm like, whoo, because I'm not getting any younger. I'm still young, but I'm like, I'm not getting any younger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It feels
Yeah.
different in my 30s than doing this when I was in my 20s. I'll say that much.
Absolutely. Now, I do have a question for you
Yes.
because you are a face. And I
Mhm.
don't know if you realize this, but we have young children, young girls, young boys, and their parents are watching the news first thing in the morning, and there's your face. So, like I said, you become the standard. You may not realize that you
Mhm.
become the standard, but you become the image that these little boys and girls grow up watching. Like, there was Rolanda Watson, like the ones that we would normally see when, our parents were watching the news
Right.
first thing in the morning. And now here you are. So tell us a little bit what that's like, not only being a woman,
Mhm.
but being a Black woman.
Well, first, I have a funny story because I don't think of it that way. I never
Mhm.
think about that. But there was one time I was doing a school appearance, and this little girl, she had to be maybe 10 years old, 10, 11 years old. And I've been at News 12 for 8 years.
Yeah.
And she said, I grew up watching you. And I said, oh my gosh.
Like, how old am I?
Said,
Wait a minute.
really? She's like, every morning my
Yeah.
parents have you on. And
Yes.
I, it's I flooded with like warmth. And
Yeah.
it was a little Black girl too.
Yeah.
And I said, wow. I said, you're so precious. Thank you. But I don't think that little girl knew the magnitude of just hearing that. Cause I'm like,
Mhm.
she really did grow up with me.
Yeah.
She was 2
Yeah.
years old when her parents had me on the TV,
Yep.
and what a blessing that is.
Yes.
Seriously, because I'm like, I used to watch the news with my mom, and this job seemed almost unattainable. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't know anybody who was in the news. I didn't
Wow.
even know that was because when people come to college fairs or when they come to schools for any type of career fair, it's the standard
Yep.
jobs that people know: doctors, nurses, lawyers, police officers. You never had somebody who was in the news,
Yeah.
and the representation wasn't fully there either. We had like maybe one per station, one of
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
So to hear her say that, I'm like, whoa, that's incredible. But it also reminds me that I have a job to do.
Yes.
And what's the point of me being where I am, where I have to tell those stories? I have
Mm-hmm.
to be honest about it because I'm not just here to be a talking piece. I'm here to be fair, but I'm also here to highlight what's happening in the community.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not here to put on makeup and talk,
Yeah.
you know?
I
I'm here to
love
do
it.
a job.
You do, and you have an awesome job. Um, and not to put pressure on you, but
Mhm.
you are carrying a big torch, and we thank you for showing up at 4 o'clock in the morning to start at 5, and thank you for your sacrifice, because we see you. Our
Thank you.
children see you. They're literally growing up watching you, and it's
Wow.
important. You're breaking those barriers, so now they get to see. So I love it. And I don't know if
Thank
you
you.
give yourself as much credit as you should, but I say we're going to celebrate the mess out of you, because
Thank
you
you.
are really doing a phenomenal job. And, you are a young woman. I know when we met many years ago, I was like, oh my goodness, like she's so young and she's doing her thing. Like, this is phenomenal to see. So you're still a young woman, because so am I.
Yes.
But it's just an amazing
Right.
growth. It's amazing just to see growth and how you've evolved over the years. So thank you for sticking it out,
Thank you. I
because I
appreciate
know
those
it's not
words.
always easy. So I love that story you shared about the little girl, and how she recognized you. She grew up watching you.
I still can't believe it. I'm like, me? I'm still 21. No, I'm kidding.
Exactly. But now I would like you to tell us another story.
Hmm.
Tell us another story of a time when you felt like quitting, and you were, and this could be anything. This is not always the news station or like, just in life, period. Can you take us to a moment in time where you just felt like, you know what, I'm not doing this no more?
Sure, I can say this is probably before my career even started.
Okay.
So when I graduated college, the idea of being on air was just not a thing for me. I
Hmm.
I wasn't supposed to be where I am today in
Yeah.
my mind.
Yeah.
Other plans
Right.
the God has had for me, but I was like, I don't have the body shape. I'm not tall. I'm not white. I'm
Mhm.
not blonde. I'm not this, which I thought was such the market for people who are in my
Right.
position. So it's like I gave up before I even gave myself a chance. But
Mm.
like the cards aligned properly in the way I always say things work out the way they're supposed to.
Mhm.
A friend of mine, who is one of my best friends still to this day, left a job to be on camera.
Okay.
And that job was a beginner job in news at a news station in New York City. I was behind the scenes doing teleprompter work and desk assistant work, which I always say is like glorified internship work. Still a wonderful job, but I'm just getting paid to do, just a step above.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for that job because in that job I got to see women like me operate, not just my skin tone, my shape, and all those things, but my personality.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh snap, we do exist in this little career
Yeah.
in this circle. And I don't know, I just started blooming, but I it was like I still had this defeated feeling, and I do think that came from immaturity in a different sense, and also insecurity deep rooted
Mhm.
in my younger years,
Yeah.
that has since changed as I gotten older. And when they say you get older you stop caring about a lot of stuff, but it's like I almost gave up before I even started, which I
Yeah.
think is where most people
Yeah.
uh
Mhm.
that's like their first give up. And if it wasn't for me taking that job, because my first response when she offered that job, mind you, this is fresh out of college and I don't have a job. So I had no reason to be denying a job.
Right.
I was like, I don't know. I don't know if that's for me. That's not my thing.
Wow.
Joke's on me. It's my thing now. And that job, and I had to put in work in that job too. So on my days off, as being in this behind the scenes role, starter role, I would go out with a reporter and go out with him every time on my day off.
Mm-hmm.
And I would shoot my reel with him.
Mm-hmm.
So this is off time. That I could not do it on my days that I worked.
Wow.
So I would go out with him on I think my off time days were like Wednesdays and Thursdays, a random day during the week. And I would go out there and I would shoot video of myself and copy off of his stories to build my own personal reel. And
Mm-hmm.
my year and a half or yeah, about year and a half at that job, I was able to create my own reporter reel, and I got my first on-air job. But if
Wow.
I could have easily just, there's so many people in that position that just don't do anything.
Wow.
But I was placed in that position to have the opportunity to work under some of the best in the business in New York City and create my demo resume reel and get my first job in television in 2014
Awesome.
on camera. Yeah.
Wow. That is great. Because like I said, a lot of people, they stop before they even get started. They talk themselves out of it. Oh, nobody's gonna, want someone like me,
That
to
was
do
my
this.
thought. I was like, me, yeah, okay, I think I'm better in this position. And I used to
Mm-hmm.
lie to myself, like, I don't want to be on TV. That's not my thing. But I did. I
Mm-hmm.
did because for some odd reason at that age, I thought if I were to say that out loud, people would be like, yeah, okay, girl. Like
Mm.
I was like already giving people's responses to me before they can even say anything. And what's funny now is like, I have people saying like, I'm not shocked you're doing this. Well, I was
Mm.
like, well, I was back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm grateful to be out of that space. And I always try to encourage people out of that kind of like defeat thinking, like that kind of thought that just crushes something before you even try it.
I love it. I love it. Now, do you ever feel pressure to be perfect? As far as like your look, your image, are you getting swept up in that whole thing? Do you, what are your thoughts? How do you feel about that pressure to be perfect?
I think it's tough, and I do think we as Black women are very critical on each other sometimes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Um, and I know when I first started out that I got a lot of like my look is far more refined now, and I'm I know myself more and my style more. But when I was just starting out and came to my current job, I was still very young and still figuring out what my look was, and some days weren't great. Makeup styles have changed, and I got a lot of tough comments,
yeah,
and it wasn't easy.
yeah,
It wasn't easy. It wasn't very nice, and it was coming
mm-hmm,
from us.
mm-hmm,
And I would cry to my sister, like, we have to fix my hair. I don't know what's going on. And that took a toll because then I would be, as soon as the camera came on, I'm like, well, I hope it's all good.
yeah,
So that was tough. And it is. There's days where I'm just like, oh man, this may not be like it today, but it doesn't overpower me like it used to. But we're open to criticism being on such a public platform.
yeah,
And thankfully, people have been far kinder and don't really comment on my appearance like that.
mm-hmm,
But I know there's those outliers who have things to say. But the confidence is more there now.
yeah,
But I can say there are days where, like, if you're not feeling your best, it's like I can't really hide.
mm-hmm.
But you just got to work through that and know, like, you're here to do a job, here to deliver the news.
And that message that you just gave to us, that serves all over. It's not just about being on TV, being in an industry where you're on stage. It literally can go across all scopes of life, all scopes of jobs, careers,
Mm-hmm.
because there is that judgment. There is that judgment, are your pants too tight, or is this too big, this too small? Like there is always that judgment
Mm-hmm.
that can impact us from wanting to be seen.
Right.
One of the things that God had to work through me, because I like putting on the makeup when I'm doing my podcast, and I put a little makeup on and everything, get the
And you
light.
look great.
Thank you, thank you. I'm over here trying to do my thing, trying to rise to the Asia status, right?
I
Trying to
always
get
tell
it up
people you're
there.
not trying, you're doing. That's what I
I'm doing
always
it
tell people.
exactly. I certainly am. But God also says there's more for you to say. So it's not just when the podcast is running. There's more that you need to say. So He's
Right.
got me doing these Facebook lives where I'm up first thing in the morning and I'm on the treadmill and I'm walking, and I'm like, wait a minute, I don't have time to put my face on. I ain't got time to get dressed right. He's like, because that's not what it's about. It's
Right.
about the message. And if people are focused more so on your hair being out of place or you wearing a headscarf, they're going to totally miss the moment.
Right.
And it is about teaching people that it is okay to show up, whether it's on camera or wherever you're at, because it's about the message that you're delivering.
Right.
It's about what it is that you're telling the story about, why you showed up. So it's about your impact. And I think society really does need to let up a little bit. And we need to let up on ourselves
Because
first.
you'll miss the message. You'll miss it
Yeah.
if you're too busy critiquing. And
Yeah.
listen, and we've all been there. I can't say I haven't critiqued, like, you know what I mean? And, or had some opinion that was unnecessary.
Right.
But we got to grow up.
True. I
You got to
love
grow
it.
up.
True indeed. Now, listen, before we let you go, I want you to give some more words of encouragement. And I believe what you've said already has really hit home to a lot of people, myself included. But I know you do a lot of mentoring with young girls.
Mhm.
So I want you to take this moment in case some of them are watching, in case, there's some young girls sitting with their moms watching this segment. Give some words of encouragement to the youth, the younger generation, that would encourage them to keep going.
Right. So for those who are watching and, you're trying to figure out what's the next step, no matter your age, if Sheniqua or I are the goalposts, look beyond that.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be the generation to carry it way past us.
Yeah.
And we can be someone that you look on as encouragement, people you reach out to lean on. But think about what space you want to see yourself in, because it's possible. And even if you don't see yourself in that space, you may be the person that has to be in that space for another person to see it. And I always think that just because we don't see ourselves there doesn't mean we don't belong there. Maybe you're just the first person to get there.
Yes.
And when it comes to yourself, speak life of yourself, whether it's journaling, whether you need to put up a vision board, or whether it's just a mantra that you tell yourself every morning about how great you are. Because individually, we're all something special. Girl A may have something, but she doesn't have what you have. And that doesn't mean you're better or she's higher or whatever. It just means that you guys are spectacular differently.
Yeah.
And comparison, as they say, is a thief of joy. It is awful. And you have to find your strengths and build on that, because if it's not public speaking for you, maybe you're an incredible person who writes speeches.
Yeah.
Maybe you're a graphic design artist who can draw out the wazoo, but you can't sing. And I always tell people, stay in your lane, but not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Like, stay in that glorious lane that you were born to do and excel there. Don't try to go in lane A because you see sister girl doing such a great job.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do that, who cares?
Yeah.
Because you're about to do amazing things in what you can do. Because I can't draw, but no, I'm gonna lean on a friend who knows how to draw if I need a graphic design label.
There you go.
You know what I mean? And what if she never followed that truth?
Yeah.
Then I wouldn't have that girlfriend who can do that.
I
So
love it.
it's like, if I do believe it's a group mentality, because I'm a good public speaker, but I have a friend who's a wonderful therapist. I cannot do what she does.
Yeah.
But if I know somebody who needs something like that, I'm like, oh, my homegirl over there, she got you. I could be the conduit, but I can send you over there. So I do think that we operate in our purposes for a reason, because we're meant to do it as a group.
Yes.
Like, we can't all have the same strengths.
Yes.
And we can't all have the same knowledge. I always say, like, when you're in an escape room and you're trying to figure out clues, you don't want to be in an escape room with a bunch of people that think like you. Y'all not escaping. Like, you need some people who think differently, because then you're like, oh, Asha knows how to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Sheniqua saying that she can unlock that one.
Yeah.
So we got to think of this in like a group mentality. Like, we all have our different types of strengths and build on that. You are special. You can do it. And the people who say you can't, just prove them wrong and laugh later.
I love it. Look, I felt encouraged myself with that. That was really, really good. But we're going to let the young girls take that one. We're going to let the young girls take that because they need that. But now I need you to come on up. I need you to come on up and talk to us seasoned women. You know, we done been through some things. We done did some things. We done raised the kids, and now we just sitting. Now we trying to figure stuff out. As I had one guest before said, the second act of life, right?
I love that.
So
It's
what
always the
kind
best
of
act too.
and listen, a lot of times it is, because now you get to redefine, you get to explore things that you didn't do before. So what kind of words of encouragement would you give to a woman of a certain age
Right.
to keep her
Um,
going?
so I'm blessed to be a little sister. And I want to call on my older sister. She's gonna kill me if I say it, but she's in her late 40s.
Okay.
um, and I I don't think, and I think she does realize, but the wealth of knowledge that
Mm,
my sister has acquired through life.
mm-hmm.
And I think all the women who are more seasoned or older, you guys offer the world so much
Yeah.
because you allow us younger to not make the mistakes that you may have made, but you
Mm-hmm.
also are leading the charge forward and paving the path for us continuously.
Yeah.
The work is not done at 40 or 50 or 60. My mom is 70 and I still look at her as a giant in my life when it comes to success. And I think for those who feel like, oh, I raised my kids, that's done. No, your kids are old now. What's new?
Yeah.
What did you want to do before they came in? And start doing it. If you don't know technology, call on them little cousins to come
Yep.
help you and do that. So I do think seasoned women are always the anchor in my life. And I still strive to be like them in different ways in life. I want to be as good as a mother as my sister, as my mom. You know, I see how wonderful they are in their careers, and I strive to that. Not the same careers at all, but and I still see the strides that they're making in their older years. And I know there are times they want to give up, but then I keep seeing them go. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just so encouraging. I don't think a lot of seasoned women realize how encouraging it is to see them still handling business
Mm-hmm.
when they can easily just fall back.
Yeah.
So please don't stop. Please continue achieving higher heights because life doesn't start and get exciting only when you're 20.
Yeah.
Like, and as I get older, shame on me for me thinking XYZ ages were old.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because look what you can achieve in your 50s. What's stopping you? Like, do not stop because you guys truly are just the anchors that we need. Because if you guys stop achieving, who are we looking at? Who are we trying to be?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We need you.
I
We need
love
you
it.
guys to keep doing it.
I love it. I love it. Yes, and I look, like I receive. I
Yes.
receive.
Like, please don't stop. Honestly, because think about the podcasts that are put on by people who don't have any sense. Like, and by sense, I mean like who haven't lived life yet.
Yeah.
And but think about what you can offer me.
Mm-hmm.
I I haven't lived what you lived,
Yeah.
and I haven't experienced yet. But if you can help me guide me through it with your show, why not keep doing it? Imagine if you didn't have this platform.
Yeah.
You know, like, so thank you. Thank you for following in your calling. Thank you for continuing to do it. I don't even need to know your age. To me, you are infinitely young.
Come on,
and
as we all
but
are.
but
Exactly.
seriously, if you didn't do this, if you didn't have me on, like I saw and I was like, and we barely know each other. And when I saw
Mm-hmm.
it on your Instagram, I was like, okay, go ahead.
Uh-huh.
It encouraged me
Yes.
because this is not a lane that I'm in either. I'm on the news. That's an organization that somebody puts on, and
Mm-hmm.
that's not mine.
Yeah.
They can let me go tomorrow.
Yeah.
This is yours.
Yes.
And to me, that's a huge deal.
Absolutely. Ah,
That's a huge deal.
I love it. I love it. Like that. Listen, this is what we need. This is what the Black Girl Encourage Her is about. Is because even us super bad sisters doing the darn thing, we need some encouragement
Yeah,
too.
I need it every day.
Or, you know, getting up
I
at
need it every
2:50
day.
in the morning. Somebody better encourage you.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
you are well deserving of that Emmy Award and then some, honey, because of the sacrifices that you have made. And I want us to continue to celebrate you. I know you've been celebrating ever since the announcement came out, but I think that you really should be highlighted and celebrated more because a win for one is a win for us all.
I
And And we
agree.
over there looking at all of the others that we see on TV. No, this one right here is closer. Like this, she's closer to us than we are to anybody else who's out there. So this is definitely a win for us all. So we need to continue to celebrate you. Listen, I've got your social media handles going here. She on that X thing, y'all. Y'all know Twitter.
I barely tweet. I barely at this point. I don't remember the last thing I tweeted. But
Yeah, but we
Instagram,
got
I'm
you.
active, and Facebook, I'm active.
Good. So we got you on Facebook. We've got you on Instagram. Is there anything else that you want to share with us? Because I don't want you to leave here feeling like, oh, I wanted to say this and I wanted to say that. Is there anything else in your heart that you'd love to share?
I'll just repeat it again because it's one of my biggest, I guess, say catchphrases. When you said, like, I'm trying, I always remind people you are not trying, you are doing. Yes. And you got to change the language. I'm doing, not trying, because that means it's actively in motion. You're getting it done. You're doing it.
So. I love it. Listen, we are doing it, and yes. You are doing it. And I thank you so much for being a guest here today on the Black Girl Encourage Her. Hang out for just a second. Let me get the people their marching orders. Didn't I tell y'all? I know I told y'all in the beginning that I was bringing another fire starter. Wasn't that good? It was so encouraging. And I hope that you will share this message out with every woman and man that you know, because we all can use the encouragement. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and you get this message out, because you never know who is standing in the need of encouragement, and you just might be that one who's going to help to spread it to them. So until next time, you all have a very blessed day, and I'll see you on the next segment of the Black Girl Encourage Her.